Hello and welcome to the Tuesday Talk Show with me, your host, Yvonne Gorman, with my very own business, Essential Print Services. The Tuesday Talk Show is powered by Essential Print Services, and thank you very much for that, my very own business. But enough about me. We're going to go to our very special guest this morning, over to Kim Borrington. Hello, Kim.
Hello, how are you? All right?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
To everyone who's watching this live or on catch up, very, very welcome to the Tuesday Talk Show. This is Series 8, Episode 2 with Kim Borrington. And this series is all about business support, business help, how we can help you, loads of top tips. And with Kim here today, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely jam-packed with information you can take away and action straight away yourself. So I'm really excited that you can join us here today for half an hour of business tips and information. So remember, we are live, so anything can happen. Dogs may bark, bells may ring, who knows? We are live, it's unscripted. So yeah, go over to you, Kim. So tell everyone, Kim, about yourself, who you are, what you do, and why should we listen to what you've got to say? What makes you the expert on all this?
Okay, so, yeah, a little bit about me. As Yvonne said, I'm Kim Borrington. I head up HIVE Thinking in Derby, and HIVE Thinking is basically a community for business owners. We get together and collaborate together, and we've got the one-to-one coaching support as well. So we predominantly help business owners that want to grow and scale their business. Everybody that I'm working with at the moment is laser beam focused on growth. So that's the sort of business owner that we like to help and support in the local community. My background and my past, which is probably what you're interested in as to how I've got to this point. So my background's in health and fitness and sales, predominantly sales. And I had my first business experience, if you like, mid-20s, living in Australia with my ex-partner, and we had a direct selling and marketing agency. We did all of the direct selling for all of the big sports teams out there, all of the Aussie football teams, the Australian Paralympic team,
Wow,
surf lifesavers, cricket. So we got to go to all the events, and we got given big budgets, and we had to go and meet their sales targets. So we were responsible for I was responsible for all of the recruitment and training all of the sales guys that then went out into the field. We grew extremely fast. My partner at the time, he ran the sales team, and he was he was mad for it. He lived on adrenaline. And we grew extremely fast, and it was like, Kim, keep recruiting, keep training. We need more sales guys in the field. And I'm like behind the scenes, like, okay. So we grew really fast, but we didn't have the infrastructure behind us to sustain that. So I then came back to the UK. Well, I ended up in Jersey in the Channel Islands, and I wanted to be self-employed again, but I didn't want to mix business and pleasure. So stayed in health and wellness, or health and fitness. But I looked at an online platform instead. So I ran a business for 6 years. Again, worked on behalf of a health and fitness client, and was in the top 9%. Me and my sales team were in the top 9% of the company globally. All the infrastructure was around you, so the behind the scenes stuff that I'd really struggled with now was all dealt with and handled behind the scenes, and I just then could focus on customer service, training my sales team, and I loved that. It was great, and that's kind of brought me to a point now where I'm coaching, learning from the experiences that I've had along the way, the ups and downs, working in sales, but in different capacities, online and face to face, and now being able to put that into action to help other people as well. That was a whistle stop. A lot more turbulent stories.
So knowing what you know now then, Kim, and looking back at those experiences, I mean, I don't like the thought of, regretting what happened or wanting to change things, but what one thing would you change with the knowledge that you know now, looking back on that?
The main thing, I've got a huge passion, and I still have. I've got a huge passion for sales. It's like a bit of a toe curling word, isn't it, when we talk about sales?
It's like,
and I've got a huge passion, because if you strip it right back, selling or sales is just human connection with two people, and a transaction will take place. And actually, I'm working behind the scenes at the moment. I'm working with Andy Gallimore, who's the director of Cultivate, and we're building a sales training program around authentic selling, because that's what it should be about, being authentic, adding value to somebody. And that's my biggest takeaway along my journey, is to make sure that human connection exists when you're giving somebody a service or a product.
Okay, just before we move on, Kim, I've got a couple of hellos of people that are watching. We've got Rachel Bricknell. Hello, morning, Rachel. Good that you're tuning in. See you. We've got Julia. Hi, Julia. Hope you're well.
Hi, Julia.
Hello, Julia. So we've got some people watching, which is great. I can see. Don't be shy, people. I can see people are watching. Please don't be shy. Come and say hello. It'd be great to hear from you. So then, where are you now? What's your plans for the future? And what sort of advice can you give people? Because at the minute, we've started the year, and I know for speaking to a lot of business owners at the minute, things are a bit rocky. So what sort of support is out there? What support can we offer each other as well, collectively?
Yeah, I've actually got some notes to make sure I don't miss anything, because I wanted to make sure that I got some really useful tips across. So in terms of where I'm at now, obviously working with the members in HIVE Thinking. So yeah, helping business owners that are focused on growth. And yes, it's a bit of a strange time in the economy. However, there are a lot of businesses that are doing extremely well. And actually all they need is, through that collective strength that we have with HIVE Thinking, or other business communities that are out there, you've got the confidence to press on, and you've got the confidence to maybe think a little bit further outside of the box than you would normally. And that can only really come when you've got like-minded people around you that you can bounce off, and that keep pushing you slightly out of your comfort zone. So I would definitely encourage people to get amongst an accountability group, essentially, because that's what we are. We are keeping each other accountable as we're growing our businesses. Look for getting yourself surrounded by people that can plug the gaps in your experience or your knowledge. And again, that's what we look for when we put a hive together of business owners. We look at different experiences and expertise that we can bring together that can plug the gaps for each other. And that's really, really helpful. And we're seeing really great results for business owners that are, that are wanting to grow. Consistency, accountability, and at the moment we need huge amounts of resilience as we're batting off all of the external factors that are flying at us that we can't control, that could potentially impact our businesses. So I think having a plan, having a bit of a strategy, and you might divert off that, but I do think having something that's methodical that you're following allows you to remove emotion from the decisions that you're making, which sometimes you do need to remove some of the emotion to keep pushing yourself forward, because you can kind of ruminate on things a bit too much otherwise. So when you've got strategy, a plan, and people keeping you accountable to keep you out your comfort zone, you can start to strive forward and achieve better things than you possibly could if you were sat, on your own, plodding along in your business.
So where do you find people to become part of your hives? Do you target certain people, or do people come to you?
Mixture, to be honest. We get recommendations and referrals that come through, especially in Derby. It's a really nice business community. Yeah. We're talking all the time about where they're at in business, and we do get recommendations and referrals come through that way. I love getting out and about in the community and getting to know different business owners. There's so much to learn from talking to different people that own their businesses. So I like to go to different networking events and utilizing social media platforms and understanding different people's businesses and getting to know people that way as well. Real mix.
You mentioned plans there. I know that we've gone through this sort of a plan over the next couple of years together as well.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't have been part of that hive with you, Kim, I'm looking up now because I can see it on my wall. I've actually put it pride of place on my wall, so I can see it every day. And I probably wouldn't have done that. I would have had it in my head, but I wouldn't have put it on paper. And that visualization, that having it, seen every day, even if you don't realize it, I think subconsciously it is all going in. And the amount of times I've shown it to someone, or people have asked me something, goes, actually, no, I know what I'm doing. So I've got this piece of paper, look, and I'm showing people this piece of paper. So yeah, I mean, how, in terms of people who don't like planning, what's your advice for doing something like that? Is there other ways they can do it that's not sort of so visual, or are there sort of other tools out there they can use?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, it's always great to get what's in your head out and onto paper, because then you can see the blueprint and if it's going to work and how it's going to work. So I think that's, whether you're a visual person or maybe you want to, have more, you can have it as an audio. You can, sometimes if I want to get things out of my head, I'll just record it through the notes on my phone and I can record it that way. As long as it's out your head, then you can kind of see it for what it is.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways that you can get your plans put in place. I know you're a visual person, so yourself. But again, bringing those ideas that you've got to a collective space and sharing that with other people will help you start to bring those ideas to life. And once they're being brought to life, then you just need to take action, keep yourself accountable to, keep moving yourself forward. So
yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't until I started writing things down and seeing things together on that sheet, and I think, actually, no, I don't actually want that to go that way. It needs to go that way for that other thing to work. And you're like, oh gosh, if I hadn't put those pieces together,
yeah,
I thought I wanted to go that way, but it's actually, this way I needed to go. So it's been really, really useful, and I highly recommend that to anybody. If there's someone out there, Kim, who's not had that experience of a Hive meeting or something similar, or not had an experience of a coach, or maybe they've had a bad experience with a coach.
fair point.
What's your top tips? What sort of advice would you give them for maybe trying to change their mind?
Yeah. Couple of different things, I suppose. It depends on the size of your business, and the budget, I suppose, that you've got, because when we talk about keeping yourself accountable and keeping yourself ever so slightly out your comfort zone, it's got to be worth it for you. And I think that's one of the key things. You've got to put yourself in a space where, say, for example, with coaching, I've paid X amount, therefore I've got to see a return on investments. You've got to keep yourself slightly out your comfort zone in that respect. If you're sat thinking, I don't really have a budget, maybe you're just starting out in business and you don't have a budget for getting into a collaborative space like Hive Thinking, there's plenty of online business groups that you can get amongst, or there's free planning tools that you can use. I'm happy to share some of the resources that we use to help business owners with anybody that's just starting out. So I would look for communities that you can get in and amongst. Another great space, which is potentially slightly controversial, but from that sales background, I always think if you are a new business owner and you don't have a budget, I'd get coupled up with one of the bigger like network marketing companies, because there's so much free information around being a business owner from a personal development perspective, from a sales perspective, and how you run CRM systems, and there's loads to learn that you can then transfer across into your own business. And getting coupled up with a network marketing company is really cheap to get started. So that's always a good starting point if you're small, just beginning, not got a clue where to go. But it is all about
that's a really good, I've not heard that before. That's a really good top tip. People starting out, or you've got no budget, so having to be so resourceful. And I'm also I'd encourage anyone who's starting out and again thinking, where the hell do I start, to sort of identify the businesses that you want to sort of replicate or you really admire, and just ask the MD, for half an hour of their time, can I shadow you for a day? Can I speak to you for half an hour about what it is that you do, how you do it? Because I really want to make my business a success as much as your business. And most of the time, people are surprisingly willing to share just half an hour to help anybody starting out in business.
Yeah, definitely. I think business owners that have been trading for a really long time, they like to go back and help people that are starting out, because it brings so many memories for themselves as well. Yeah,
for sure. And also that I know that if someone came to me with that, and they have done in the past, it makes me go, like you say, go back to how I felt then, and it also spurs me on a bit more. Actually, I feel more motivated now. I'm actually doing a really good thing. So I definitely recommend someone to knock on the door and saying, can I have a few minutes of your time, or find out where these people are hanging out. And I've always said, with people starting out, make sure before you've even registered your business, find that network, find your support network, because from the get-go, if you've got that in place, then you will get there faster.
Yeah, definitely.
That is the importance of network. So Kim, you've got some notes there, I know. So what else on your notes? What sort of juicy nuggets of information can you share with us all?
Juicy nuggets. Okay, so we've spoken a little bit, kind of touched upon resilience that you need at the moment. And yes, you need the infrastructure. Yes, you need a product or service to sell and all of that. But actually, one of the most important tools that you need is a really strong mindset. That's going to be the difference between staying where you are at the moment in your business and growing and moving yourself forward. You're making the decision between the years, I suppose. So we mentioned a bit about needing a plan and needing a strategy to remove that emotion. But I would also encourage people, and I get asked sometimes, what's the difference between HIVE Thinking and other coaching companies that I could team up with? I think for me, as a business coach, one of the main things that I like to help business owners work on is themselves as a whole. So we do look at their lifestyle and obviously their business is a huge part of that, but we look at them as an individual and look at that personal development side of things as well, because we've got to work out and make sure that we've got a strong mindset. And if there are other external influences that could cloud your judgments and distract you from where you want to go, it's about helping people overcome those obstacles as well. So for example, if you've got limiting beliefs and you're thinking, maybe I'm not going to do very well this year because the news is saying there's so much that's going to go against me, you can flip that on its head. I've always, when I've been in sales, we used to chase the no's, so that you didn't get all caught up on I need to convert that sale. It was actually just chase the no's. And then you're in action and you're not thinking so much about the outcome. You're just focused on the process. So chase the nose is quite a good one. Affirmations and positive language to yourself, I think is really important, especially when you're wanting to stay focused on a big goal that you're working towards. Again, keeping out the negativity. There's looking at different ways that you can bat off negativity. There's a lot of it around.
There's a lot of imposter syndrome, isn't there? I was speaking to someone yesterday who surprised me, actually, because they come across to me as being really entrepreneurial and confident and got it all sussed.
Yeah.
To disclose that they suffer from imposter syndrome on a regular basis, I was really shocked. And you just don't know what other people are going through in business. We've got someone else coming to say hello. Steve Whittle. Hello, Steve. Great to hear from you. Great leadership can be bringing others through in your wake. Absolutely. And you know that for sure firsthand, Steve. Great to see and hear from you. Yeah, so mentioning imposter syndrome, Kim. Yeah. What's your top tips? Do you experience it yourself? What advice can you give to someone who is going through imposter syndrome and think, I can't do that thing. I'm just not good enough. I haven't got the right skills. People will think, what the hell? Who do you think she is doing that? She can't do that. What sort of internal monologue can we give ourselves to get ourselves out of that funk?
To get yourself out of that funk, I don't know whether it's for everybody, but I've spent quite a lot of time, probably in the last 5 or 6 years, where I've wanted to really strive forward for big goals, and had that imposter syndrome keep knocking me back. And one of the main things that I got stuck into was I read so much around personal development and having a strong mindset, so that I understood the psychology and the science, I suppose, behind why we're wired the way we are. And I did a lot of mirror work as well, which is making direct eye contact with yourself and speaking positively and with passion and power behind, you know, what it is that you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so awkward, and I didn't look at myself in the eyes. I hated it in the beginning, and like, you can do this, Kim, and you're looking dead in the eye. Come on, you've got this. And it makes a massive difference to how much conviction you've then got behind what it is you're setting out to do.
It's I think that's similar to the Mel Robbins high-fiving yourself in the mirror technique, isn't it? It's like, high five, that girl needs a high five. It's like, oh, I feel a bit awkward, but yeah, it's if it helps, then why the hell not?
It's funny, isn't it? We get embarrassed in front of ourselves, but you do. So yeah, I would definitely recommend diving into personal development and reading a lot around why we think the way we do, because a lot of it is nature that's kind of keeping us in our comfort zone. So you're kind of trying to wade yourself through that.
Out of danger, but it's like we don't need that anymore. So let's just not serving me well, so we don't need it.
Yeah. And the other phrase that I'll use, and if you ever catch me using this, I apologize. Again, it's just a technique that I've come up with myself, that I use to deflect a negativity so I don't harbor it. And if somebody is kind of chucking negativity towards me, I just, wish them all the best and hope you're going to have a fun day. And fun just stands for, I won't swear 'cause we're live, F your negativity. So I'm like, right, I've deflected that. I'm not harboring it. And that's just my way of like, I'm done. I'm not going to cling on to that.
Yeah, well, that's good. I've not heard that.
And you're not offending them. They have no idea, but you've protected yourself. Your arm is there.
Who knows? Are there any people that are uncoachable? Are there sometimes you see people and you think there's no helping them?
Yeah.
There's no helping them.
In short, yeah, I guess people are, they come to you for help. They want to see change, but coaching is unlocking that from within that person. So they've got to be in a space where they're ready to experience change, and not everybody is, and not everybody likes change. So part of keeping that person accountable is you've set, is asking them directly, you've set these intentions for yourself. Why haven't you done it?
Yeah.
You wanted to reach this particular goal by this point, but you haven't then done what you said you wanted to put into action. Why haven't you done that? And that can be quite uncomfortable to have that conversation. But when you're paying for accountability and you want to see change in your business, sometimes you've got to have those uncomfortable conversations with people just to make them.
And were the goals right for them at the time? But it's also you guys, with the coaching world, you've got a really tough gig, because unless that person is willing to make those changes and change doesn't happen, then it makes you guys potentially look bad, doesn't it? Because you're the one that's supposed to be like, come on, driving the business forward. But if someone hasn't done those things, you think, well, it's not going to happen. They're not willing to do it.
Yeah, their success is our success. Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah.
Well, as always, we are flying through time. We've only got a few minutes left. So is there any other hints and tips, Kim, that you want to cram in before we wrap up?
Top tips, just to kind of summarize what we've mentioned there. If you've not got no budget, get coupled up with a network marketing company and just be a massive sponge. And they put some conferences and training, and you've got access to all of that. So that's top tip number one. Get amongst online communities or face-to-face communities so that you've got that accountability around you. That's hugely important. And consistency. So remove emotion and just focus on that consistent action. And consistent action will always bring results, as long as everything is taking place that you've set out to try and achieve.
That reminds me of one of our previous guests, Leslie So from So Good Kombucha. Really, really hardworking woman with the physical aspect to brewing kombucha, and also the business aspect as well, and trying to really push that product forward. And there are times when she said, it's really emotional and you're absolutely drained. But one of her friends said to her, just think like a robot. Would a robot be concerned about your feelings? No, the robot just wanted to get the job done. So again, remove that emotion and get the job done. I think we're definitely a very similar top tip to Leslie there for sure.
Yeah.
Kim, it's been absolutely amazing catching up with you this morning. We don't do it often enough because we're so busy, but it's great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to wrap things up, but then come back to you right at the end, Kim, for your final thoughts. I'll just give you a few moments to have a think about your final takeaway from this morning's session. Tuesday Talk Show is live and you can subscribe using the subscribe button and the bell icon to receive alerts for the next video. We've got the Tuesday Talk Show YouTube channel, so make sure you click and subscribe on there. We are live on the Small Businesses Unite Facebook group, which has over 1,000 members. And also we've gone live on LinkedIn for this series. Yes, LinkedIn have caught up with StreamYard and they've allowed us access. So we're on my profile, which has over 5,000 connections. So hopefully someone out there will enjoy the show. And if you have enjoyed today's show, there are loads more on the Tuesday Talk Show YouTube channel. So make sure you catch up there. And as always, if you've got any comments and questions for me, myself or Kim or any of our guests, please do get in touch. So Kim, before your final thought, where can people find you if they want to get in touch?
Main place to find me is through LinkedIn. You'll find me with Kim Borrington or Kimberly Borrington. Search HIVE Thinking, and you'll find me there. I can also pop over my email address to yourself so that can get circulated with this live as well.
Fantastic. Kim, over to you for the Tuesday Talk Show. Final thought.
Final thought, my journey started in sales and is now at a point where we are building an authentic sales program for business owners. So I would leave you with a final thought of, when you are selling your product or service to somebody, make sure that you are authentically building a human connection with that person and adding value to them. Fantastic. Kim, thank you so much. That's a Tuesday Talk Show Series 8, Episode 2, another one under wraps. And we'll see you again next time. See you later. Bye.